want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hollywood has always followed trends. We're currently in the middle of a major trend towards superheroes and franchises, but this isn't the first time studio after studio has tried to jump on board and capitalize on the success of a blockbuster film or series. In the wake of Star Wars, every studio tried to do their own sci-fi movie. You had Alien, Star Trek the Motion Picture, The Black Hole, and even James Bond in space in Moonraker. When Lethal Weapon became a hit, suddenly every studio was doing buddy cop movies. When The Matrix hit, bullet time was everywhere, even in Charlie's Angels and the best forgotten Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Sixth Day. And in 2000, another blockbuster came along and revitalized the genre when Ridley Scott's Gladiator kicked off a short-lived but awesome resurgence in historical epics. After that movie was a smash, you got Master and Commander, Troy, The Last Samurai, and this week's best movie you never saw, Ridley Scott's own Kingdom of Heaven. In the summer of 2005, this seemed like a can't-miss proposition. Here you had Ridley Scott doing his first historical action-adventure movie since Gladiator, with him tackling the Crusades. As a leading man, he had the red-hot Orlando Bloom, who was coming off of Lord of the Rings, and also had a main role in the Pirates of the Caribbean series. At the time, he seemed like he was going to be the next Tom Cruise. In this, he would play a French blacksmith who's whisked away to the Crusades by his long-lost father, played by Liam Neeson. Once in Jerusalem, he'd get wrapped up in political intrigue as a trusted member of King Baldwin's court, falling for the king's married sister Sabella. In the process, Scott's film was far from a simplistic take on the Crusades, opting to expose the cruelty of the Christian soldiers as exemplified by Marton Czokas and Brendan Gleeson as the Templar villains, while Saladin, the leader of the Muslim campaign against the Crusaders, was given balanced, even heroic treatment. Alas, the film died a quick death at the box office. One must remember that this came out in a post-9/11 world and at the very peak of the war in Iraq. Fair and balanced was not in vogue at this time, especially when it came, unfortunately, to the Middle East. In fact, Ridley Scott, who had filmed a 3-hour epic, had to get the film down to a more manageable 2 hours and 20 minutes after bad test screenings, resulting in an action-driven theatrical cut that lost virtually all the character and nuance he'd worked so hard to put into the film. As expected, the reviews were middling and the box office was anemic, not even breaking $50 million in North America, a disaster for a movie that carried a $130 million budget. It turns out though that we really all had it wrong. Sometime later, Ridley Scott released his original director's cut on Blu-ray and DVD, and the effect was downright revelatory. Critics that had called it a bomb suddenly had it on their best of the year list. Watching the Blu-ray myself, I was stunned at how substantial the additions were. Virtually all of the backstory for both Orlando Bloom's Balian and Eva Green's Sabella was excised from the theatrical version. Here's an example. In the theatrical cut of the movie, Balin's wife has committed suicide, and a cruel priest, played by Michael Sheen, has her corpse decapitated so that she can't enter heaven. After being taunted, Balin murders him. In the director's cut, it's realized that the priest is actually his half-brother, who has held a lifelong grudge against him, making his cruelty even more vicious. Likewise, Eva Green's character has a son in the theatrical cut who suffers from leprosy just like his uncle, played by a masked Edward Norton. In the theatrical cut, she's basically just a love interest. Here, in the director's cut, she's a full-fledged character with a really good plot. Likewise, Marton Czokas as Guy de Lusignan emerges as a full-fledged villain in this cut, with Scott having made the puzzling decision to cut the climatic sword fight between him and Bloom. It's a thoroughly different movie, and in full fact, an amazing one that actually stands up as one of Scott's masterpieces. Bloom's performance was heavily criticized, but in the director's cut, he's much more of a tragic, noble figure trying to do good. Some found that he was too young for the part, but let's be honest, Crusaders were actually far younger than he was in this film. He's actually just the right age, and it's unfair that he took the blame for both this and Cameron Crowe's Elizabethtown bombing at the box office. He did his best in both, and is actually amazing in this one. The supporting cast also comes much more into focus here, with Jeremy Irons the sympathetic right hand to Norton's kindly King Baldwin, while David Thewlis steals scenes as the cynical man of God who acts as Balin's conscience throughout. Liam Neeson also has a surprisingly small role as Bloom's long-lost father, and it was one of his last before he became an unlikely action star with Taken. I should also mention the atypical but excellent score by Harry Gregson Williams, which is unique for a historical epic. The thing about Ridley Scott's films is that they're all incredibly absorbing, and you really feel a part of this world for 3 hours. The effect is kind of entrancing. For too long, Kingdom of Heaven has been considered second-tier Ridley Scott. Well, it's actually one of his very best movies, and certainly decides to rank alongside Gladiator. Please, please, please give it a shot. Although make sure to watch the director's cut, because if you watch the theatrical version, you're really only getting the skeleton of what's really a terrific film. Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut, is available on iTunes, although if you do watch this movie streaming, make sure that you're getting the real deal. Thank you for watching The Best Movie You Never Saw. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our JoBlo videos channel. Tell your friends who like this sort of content and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. We're an independent company and we appreciate all of your support.